Hello, and welcome back to another chapter of It Hurts the Hope by Inquilidori on AO3. Chapter 21, A Step into the Unknown. Shockingly, Zed and Tego stay alive for the next 2 days. How much of that is the duo's bargaining, no one really knows. But at least they apologize and give Exuma a gift basket of diamonds to make up for the lost levels. They are, however, banned from the shopping trip, which is about as devastating as it sounds. Green is present when Tangle tries to bribe Impulse into going for him, but he's not entirely sure if it worked. There's also a lot of explosions involved. There usually is when it comes to Team Zit. "Do you think you're going to go?" Mumbo asks Green, sitting on the back porch and listening as Scar tunes his banjo. Green's drum is nestled in his lap, and Pearl is silently practicing chords on the old rosewood guitar she's currently wielding. As it turns out, Evo was pretty musically gifted as well. Pearl played and still plays guitar, and the rest of the surfer fumbled around with a variety of instruments. Green wants to ask about them sometime. Wants to know if he played with them. "Green?" Mumbo asks again, and Green's head jerks up towards him. A questioning trill escapes before he realizes that he was asked something. He can feel his cheeks flush all the way up to his ears. "Sorry, what was the question?" he asks, and Scar chuckles lightheartedly. "I asked if you were going," Mumbo repeats, then clarifies. "The shopping trip. I mean, I know you don't really have a need to go, per se, but it's really fun, and it's nice to get off the surfer once in a while." Green taps out a stray rhythm on his drum as he ponders the question, and Pearl strums a chord to go in sync with Scar's tuning. "I think I might," he finally says, and a smile flits onto his face. "False told me about this little shop that sells avian-related stuff. Brushes for preening and seed snack and things like that. It sounds cool. I don't have any money." "Oh, no worries on that front. We all have a communal piggy bank that we all occasionally dip into if needed," Scar says cheerfully with a wave of his hand. "Just let Exuma know, and I'll funnel some into your comms. Pretty easy." "Oh?" Like everything else with the hermits, it seems deceptively simple and unbelievable. How rich really are they? "You guys have all that money to just toss around?" Pearl asks, and she sounds as surprised as Green. Mumbo shrugs with an awkward smile and rubs a hand along the back of his neck. "Well, we're all expected to add to it if we have any spare change," he tries to explain, waving his hands around and nearly whacking Scar with his harmonica. "Some of us do little off-world jobs, help design maps or build redstone and whatnot. If there's any leftover cash, it goes into the community pool, so if someone needs money, they can use it." "That sounds cool." "That sounds really cool." "It is." Scar plucks out a few notes and gives them a dazzling grin. "You don't have to worry a bit, G. We've got you covered." "Does that mean you'll come?" Mumbo asks as Pearl settles against the porch railing with her guitar, and Green shifts his drum in his lap. "I'm planning on going. There's a small redstone convention I want to check out." "Yeah, I'll come," Green replies. "Now come on, let's play something." They all laugh, but are quick to get ready. Mumbo drags out a long note on his harmonica, Pearl readies her guitar, and Scar's nimble fingers are already positioned on the neck of the banjo. Green gives them all a stupid choice grin and thumps out a beat on his drum. And the 1, 2, 3. The day of the shopping trip, Green makes his way to Spawn with Pearl and Mumbo in tow. Turns out, Pearl has some errands as well, so she asked to be included in the group. Since I'm technically not a hermit, I could just go on my own, but I wanted to make sure you'd be okay, Pearl confided to Green that morning when they were getting ready. And Green, while pretending to be offended, was actually very touched. This is the first time he's going to go off-world since he came onto it. It feels like a monumental achievement. "Hello, you three. Ready to go?" Exuma calls out, waving to them from where he's standing next to the rest of the group. "As ready as we'll ever be," Mumbo replies, and Green glances over the off-world team while Mumbo and Exuma converse quietly. Other than Exuma, Mumbo, Pearl, and Green, the group also consists of Cleo and Joe, Stress, Wells, Cub, and Jevin. Green does a quick head count and realizes that altogether there's 10 of them instead of the previously decided 11. "Who are we missing?" Cub asks, and as if on cue, the sound of rockets splits the air, and everyone looks up to see Impulse dive down from the sky and land with more force than strictly necessary. "Sorry I'm late," he says cheerfully, straightening up and stowing away his elytra. "Tango had to give me his shopping list." "What are you, his messenger boy?" Jevin teases, and Impulse laughs and ruffles Green's hair as she passes by. "His NZs," Impulse replies, easily as he takes his place next to Cleo, completing the loose circle of 11. "Because someone banned them from going." "Listen, I really don't need the admins on my case again because you guys set something on fire or released the Ravengers in the streets again," Exuma replies, and even with the light tone, Green can't tell if he's serious or not. "Anyway, we're all here now, so let's run over the off-world rules. Number 1, keep the chat active, and don't mute your comm," Wells starts, tucking his plumed helmet under one arm. "Number 2, if we get lost, the meetup spot is the portal hub," Jevin adds, searching through the pocket of his hoodie for something or other. "Number 3, if we get into a fight, don't," Cleo says with an eye roll. "But if we do, get a mod to dump the situation on and run." "I don't," Exuma starts, then sighs and motions with his hand to continue. "Fair enough. Next." 4, hourly check-ins via comms, Mumbo says. And 5, if Exuma tells everyone to get back to the portal, drop what you're doing and get over there as soon as possible. "I think that's everything," Exuma says, and claps his hands together. "Basically, just try not to cause any trouble and keep in touch. That's all I can really ask. You're all semi-responsible adults. I trust you. Sort of." "Aw, X, I feel all mushy and warm inside," Cleo says with a face of stone, and everyone bursts out laughing. "Let's get going then. We're losing daylight," Wells says, and puts his helmet back on. Exuma nods and opens up his panels, typing in a few strands of code before the names of the group pop up on the screen one by one. "Comm check," he says. and the hermits grab their comms and confirm that their devices are connected to both the group chat and Exuma's comm. World jumping with a large group can be dangerous, but Green knows that Exuma has coded something of a protective bubble around his players, tied to their comms so they'd be safe while traveling in the Between Void. Alright, everyone ready? Exuma asks, and looks up to the medley of thumbs up and murmured agreements around the circle. Going off world in 3, 2, 1. Green, holding Pearl's hand and doing his best to breathe normally, feels the moment Exuma activates the code. And the second it tugs against his own, gently pulling him through the barriers of the server, this time with permission, this time with a guide, and snatches the ground from under his feet and tosses him into the void. For a moment, it's the familiar crushing weight of nothingness, stealing the air from his lungs, forcing down void instead. He panics and reaches for his energy to protect himself and make sure he's safe. Something beats him to it, and suddenly he can breathe again. Green pulls in a ragged breath and realizes that he's still in the between void. Still in the darkness, but now the void is held back with a shimmering warm shield that practically glows with power. Green loses his breath again, and this time it's not because of the void. He knows that Exuma is powerful, but he hadn't been aware of how powerful. A gentle hand touches his shoulder, and Green is pulled from his reverie to lock eyes with Exuma himself. Standing in front of him without his helmet and faintly glowing the same way as the shields. Sorry about that, Exuma says, and he smiles. My code still clashes against yours sometimes. Are you alright? It's disconcerting, as it always is, to see Exuma without his helmet. Now that Green knows what to look for, or rather, what he can't look for, it's hard not to concentrate on the fact that he can't see Exuma's face. He's looking at it, yet can't explain or put into words what he's seeing. Concentrate, Green. I'm fine, he says, and shoves the thought of Exuma's appearance into the deepest nook of his brain that he can find. Is everyone else okay? Perfectly. I wanted to check on you because, well, indeed. Green notes what they're both thinking. That this is the first time he stepped off Hermitcraft in 2 months. And last time he'd been in the Between Void, he was being chased by the Watchers. Green lets out a quick breath, and although he doesn't open his eyes, he stretches out his consciousness to the thinnest bit that he can allow, and prods the in-between around him. Silence. Nothing but stardust and void. And the warm consciousness of his friends, somewhere nearby. The void is as empty as it ever was. There are no watchers except him. Safe, he says, and Exuma's smile is both relieved and tense. Even for such a powerful Voidwalker, keeping 10 players safe from the void is a monumental feat, and it's getting harder by the second. So Green motions with his hand for them to continue, and they start towards the group of hermits waiting as far away from the bubble as the bubble will allow. All right there, G? Mumbo asks as the group merges again, beating Pearl to the punch. Green confirms, and Exuma calls up ahead for their attention. We're almost there, you guys. Wait by the portal until everyone makes it out. It might take a bit longer to get Green through. One by one, the hermits are swallowed again by the void, pulled back into a world. Then it's just Green and Exuma, and the admin winks at him before his code gently, carefully pushes him out of the bubble and into the void, then further and further, until he's walking out of a portal. Rocks stall the ground under his feet as he stumbles, and someone else catches him. He straightens up and locks eyes with Cub, who gives him a smile and nudges him toward Pearl and Mumbo. Exuma's suit emerges from the portal, helmet finally on his head once more, and Green can finally look around at where they've landed. He knows vaguely what a public server looks like, or what it's supposed to look like, really, because this server is 3 times as big as anything he imagined, and 10 times as colorful. It's a riot of buildings, each more unique than the last, and the people that pass on the streets are just as loud as and bright, hybrids and humans and everything in between. "Alright, listen up," Exuma calls out, and the hermits huddle around him in a quieter section of the portal hub. "You got 6 hours. Get your errands done, have some fun, meet some new people, remember the rules, try not to get kidnapped." Wells groaned. It wasn't actually a kidnapping, alright? Hell's is problematic, but he means well, I think. "I think it was a kidnapping," Impulse mutters, and Cleo snickers next to him. "Hells means well?" she asks, and Wells glares at her as Exuma clears his throat loudly. "As I was saying, 6 hours, I want you back here on the dot, with everything done and ready to go. Is that clear?" A chorus of confirmations rise up, and Exuma looks over them, sighs, and sticks his gloved hand palm down into the middle of the group. Everyone follows suit, and Green's the last one to land on the pile. 3, 2, 1, hermits! Cleo yells, and the hands go flying up as the group echoes her shout so loudly it practically bounces off nearby walls. "Okay, now scatter," Jevon says, and the hermits laugh as they all separate into smaller groups and take off on their own. Cleo and Joe immediately disappear off to whatever errand they came for. Wells gives them a hasty half bow, then strides off in the opposite direction, and Impulse departs with a wiry smile and a long list of items from his friends. Jevon seems content to loiter around the hub, texting on his comm until a willowy young man wearing a black bandana pops up, and they take off together after the new arrival greets Exuma and the other hermits. "That was Hypno," Mumbo explains to Green, catching on to his curiosity. "He's a hermit, but he decided not to join us this season. I think Jevon's been keeping him up to date, though." "If you have something to do, I suggest you start now," Exuma calls to them, and Mumbo immediately snaps to attention, then laughs. "I suppose you're right," he admits with a lopsided smile. "Gee, you know where you're heading?" "False gave me an address," Green replies, fishing out the piece of paper with the address of the avian shop to show Mumbo. "Oh, I'm heading in that direction too," Stress says, peering over his shoulder. "I can show you the way if you want." That'd be pretty good," Mumbo admits, pulling a simply rumpled piece of paper out of his own pocket. "The convention is in the literal opposite direction to that. Sorry, mate." "Don't you dare apologize for that, Mumbo Jumbo," Green explained, wrinkling his nose at his friend. "You go and talk to your nerd friends about your nerd redstone. I'll be fine with Stress." "We're not!" Mumbo cut off as everyone still gathered gave him a skeptical glare. Fine. You're sure you'll be alright? Mumbo, my wonderful friend, are you implying I'm going to let something happen to him? Stress asks, with a raised eyebrow, and Mumbo's eyes immediately go wide. Oh, no, of course not. I just meant I wanted to make sure. You know what? I'm gonna leave before I dig my hole any deeper. Bye. He gives Green an awkward side hug, waves to Exuma, and disappears into the crowds. Stress laughs delightedly and offers an arm to Green. He's so fun to fluster. Come on, love. Let's go find your shop. I have to go too, Pearl says, and she ruffles Green's hair before he can duck away. I'm meeting up with some friends. They're not Evo, she quickly adds, seeing the way Green's wings stiffen. Different server. They wouldn't recognize you if they saw you across the street. Don't worry, Green. I've got it all figured out. Thanks, Pearl. Green takes a step, ready to follow Stress, then hesitates, and turns back to give Pearl a quick hug. Then he scampers away after the pink-clad hermit, already halfway off to the portal hub. It's so nice to get off-world sometimes, Stress remarks as they travel further into the city, and she ducks under the hanging vines of a botanical shop before continuing undeterred. Don't get me wrong, Hermitcraft already feels like home, but I've only gone off-world once or twice. It's really a breath of fresh air. Green nods along, but the wording of Stress's comment catches his attention. How long have you been on Hermitcraft? He asks, and Stress blinks at him, then laughs. It's a warm, bubbly laugh, somewhat rough and loud. Oh, I joined this season. Zed and I were the rookies until you arrived. Huh? It's just, I thought that I've been around a lot longer than that because I can shut up a room? Stress laughs again and steers them down a side alley. Nah. The hermits aren't like that. If you can earn respect, you got respect. And I sure as heck earned it. They slow down in front of a small shop, wedged between the other buildings like it had been added as an afterthought. Green immediately picks out the details on the architecture, and he remembers what Pearl said about him being a builder. I should be taking notes, he thinks, but has no more time to pursue that train of thought because Stress turns to him. This is you, she says, tilting her head at the store. Sorry for not coming in with you, but I've got an appointment and I don't want to be late. Love the hermits to death, but none of them can cut hair right. I think you have nice hair, Green blurts, and Stress laughs again. You're too sweet, love. Go on, look around. I'll meet you out here in an hour or so. Stress takes off down the street, and Green is left to enter the shop alone. Admittedly, he spends several minutes standing outside the building, working up the courage to go in, but no one needs to know that. Finally, he strides forward and pushes open the door, slipping in as the familiar chime of a note block signals his arrival. Welcome! The young avian sitting behind the counter tosses aside her magazine and ruffles her wings, giving him an easy smile. Anything I can help you find? For a moment, Green feels frozen. The avian girl seems so much more than he is. With feathers speckling her face and lightly taloned hands, sharp eyes, and sleek wings that must belong to some sort of bird of prey. He knows that there's a spectrum on which avians land, some being more human, some being more bird. He's done his research. He knows that it's more common for an avian to appear like him or false, but just seeing another avian, one that has more birdness about her than he does, he's not entirely sure how to react. He chirps. The avian laughs and chirps back, so maybe he hasn't said anything rude yet. Still, It's embarrassing, and he can already feel his cheeks flushing. Not used to seeing other avians? The cashier guesses, and Grian nods slightly. Yeah, you could say that. No worries. Most of us are like that. It's a rare few that actually stay within an avian flock. The cashier winks at him and stands up, dark-tipped wings resettling along her back. Definitely a bird of prey. Bird of prey. A hawk, maybe? So, the cashier claps her hands together, but not in the loud way the hermits usually do. What can I help you find, mister? Oh, a friend gave me a list. Grian digs through his pockets and pulls out the short list that False wrote up for him before he left. He hands it over to the cashier, who runs an appraising look down the paper. Her name is False? Do you know her? Who doesn't? The cashier laughs, handing back the list. The Queen of Heads, Hearts, and Body Parts is your friend, huh? What are you, a new hermit? Yeah, actually. How do you know? Oh, sweetheart. Everyone knows the hermits. They're not exactly subtle. The cashier laughs again, not unkindly, and steps out from behind the counter. Anyways, False is a regular here. With wings like hers, it's honestly a given. The cashier motions with a hand, and Grian follows her to a shelf stocked with all sorts of brushes, combs, and bottles of nice-smelling lotions. She looks him over, trills something thoughtfully, and turns back to the shelf. False got a pretty good base for products for your wings. They are gorgeous, by the way, did I mention? But I hope you'll take some advice, because prey bird wings are pretty different under some aspects. What works for her won't necessarily work for you. The cashier trills again. Is that the avian equivalent of thinking out loud? And reaches for a couple of combs and bottles, offering them to Grian with a short description of each. She asks about his preening routine. Grian does his best to answer, and together they settle on a couple different products. In the end, Grian also adds a few seed-based snacks and a couple fidget cubes, which the cashier recommends with a sympathetic smile when he explains the feather pulling problem. High-stress situations tend to bring out the bird brain, so they'll probably happen from time to time, she explains while packing up Grian's purchases. If you think it'll happen often, then you should probably keep one in your pocket for emergencies. Unsure how to pay for the purchase, Grian simply pulls out his comb and sets it on the counter. Exuma assured him before leaving that a substantial amount had been transferred onto it, but he sure doesn't know how to access it. The cashier seems to take pity on him and shows him how to connect the con to the register and pay the amount requested. It's been a while since Grian had to buy anything, but the bill seems reasonable enough, maybe even a bit low, which the cashier is happy to explain when he asks. We try to keep our prices low since not all avians can afford the fancier shops, she says with a smile, and that seems really cool, actually. Grian decides that he's going to come back here if he ever needs to buy more stuff. The cashier hands the bag over, and Grian takes it with a small thank you. Good luck with the hermits, the cashier says with a wink, and Grian can't help but laugh as he heads towards the door, making a mental note to ask Scar why the hermits are so infamous. I'll need it, he calls back, pushing open the door and stepping out to meet Stress, who was hurrying across the street towards him. I don't know if you've been checking the group chat, but apparently Jevin and Hypno tried to steal something. Stress says the minute she comes into range, and Green can't help it. He bursts out laughing. And that is the end of chapter 21.